Good morning, everyone, or whatever time of day this is when you guys are watching. So, guys, we're going to be talking today about what's been going on in Ukraine and the absolute insanities there. Although you wouldn't guess if you've been watching the mainstream media, we have got the situation in the Middle East going from one thing to another, and it doesn't look like that's getting any better for anybody out there anytime soon. So, guys, listen, before we start, can you guys just click the buttons below, the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification? Really helps me out when you guys do that. Just a little click for you guys, but really helps me out with the algorithm. So let's just talk about what's been happening in Ukraine then. I'm going to read a headline here. And for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you guys know I've been saying this is coming at some point. Now, Ukraine latest, Putin's forces claim capture of strategic town as Zelensky makes Trump appeal. So now the mainstream are talking about this town, Valyeka Novosilka. It's gone, it's finished, it's over. And now I'm going to speculate, not even wildly, I'm going to say that the next thing that's on the Russians' agenda is to take Pokrovsk. There's nothing really in that region now to stop them from taking Pokrovsk. So let's go on to the share map. So this is from... So this is what the ground looked like on the 23rd of December last year. So just like a month and 3 days or something. Now, the town of Valyeka Novosilka, I've been saying that this is going. I've been saying, watch, the Russians are doing a pincer movement. And slowly but surely, they've done this pincer movement now. In this region, they may want to close this area up here. But I feel that the next thing that they're going to focus on is Pokrovsk. Now, I'm just going to fast forward. Watch the pincer movement down here. And again, you've got to consider that every day the Russians are taking ground and every day the Ukrainians are losing ground. There's nothing that the Ukrainians can do realistically now to push these guys back. And when people say, "Oh, Sean, do you think the front line is going to fall in Ukraine?" From what I'm seeing, there isn't a front line. Anyway, what's happening? What else is happening around the world? So we've got the North Koreans as well in Ukraine. Now, this has been... Remember when the North Koreans first got issued? Remember when the North Koreans were said that the Russians are going to be deploying thousands of North Koreans? One of the things I said they would do is they would be pulled back behind the front line and they would be used to operate drones. They would be used to fabricate drones, used to repair drones. Well, it turns out that the North Koreans are having heavy casualties. It looks like the Russians have pulled them off the front line. I mean, listen, I'm not being... I genuinely feel sorry for everybody in these conflicts. I really feel sorry for the North Koreans. They've been sent somewhere pretty much, it could be argued against their will because they didn't understand what they were getting into. They're just being used as, from what we can see, they're being used as cannon fodder by the Russians, and now they're not even being good enough to be used as cannon fodder. There's more articles out now saying that North Koreans would rather blow themselves up than be captured. Absolutely insanity out there. And also we've got reports in that North Korea are planning to send more troops out there. Ladies and gentlemen, if people think that this conflict's going away anytime soon, we have not seen anything yet. I believe that this is going to drag the world into a global conflict of an industrial scale. Donald Trump in America, he's been coming out now and he's been saying, in fact, let me share this with you. Donald Trump's been saying he wants to, well, I'll just share the article actually. Trump says he wants to clean out Gaza as he restarts policy to give Israel new bombs. When last year, like early last year, maybe 12 months ago, I said, look, the United States and the United Kingdom are going to go their separate ways on these. The United Kingdom is not going to invest in the Middle East, and America's not going to invest in Europe. By invest, I mean militarily. Trump has built his political career around being unapologetically pro-Israel. President Donald Trump said he would like to see Gaza just cleaned out, allowing a clean slate for the war-torn region on the back of the ceasefire deal. Trump called for Jordan, Egypt, and other Arab nations to increase the number of Palestinian refugees they are accepting. His hope is that they take enough to allow the area to have a clean start. So listen, you know, when people thought that Donald Trump was going to come in and he was going to wave his magic peace wand, and I was like, no, that's not going to happen at all. Remember, the United States are gearing up for a conflict in the Middle East, and I believe that the United States will have boots on the ground in Iran March 2026. Can you imagine now these Palestinians going back to Gaza, and all there is concrete rubble? Nothing there. You know, the Israelis have been using this rubbleized tactic where they've been using indirect fire, then going in with bulldozers and just bringing these buildings down to the ground. People are saying that the Palestinians are going to be able to go back to Gaza and rebuild their lives. There's nothing there. Like, it's just rubble. Like, you know, it's you would have as much chance going into a piece of desert and saying, right, go and build your life in that desert. And you're like, what with? Well, you've got bits of sand, you can whisk it together really quick and make glass. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you need infrastructure, you need roads, you need rail, you need money, a lot of money. And to have money, you have to have something to sell. Now, there isn't any industry in Gaza. One of the reasons I said that this all started, and you know, on the 7th of October, was because of this trade route that was proposed by Saudi. Well, this proposed trade route from Saudi Arabia through Jordan, through Israel, into the Mediterranean. Now, what this would have done, essentially, this would have cut out Iran's influence in that region, because Iran would no longer have had the controlling influence over the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Guys, listen, I could go and check that out for yourself, okay? I want to keep this video relatively short. So because of that trade deal that was agreed by Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, by de facto, Gaza, the Gazans, the Palestinians, would have prospered, because guess what? If the Israelis are opening up a port and they're having trade go through that port from the Middle East through to Europe via the Mediterranean, then because of the proximity of Gaza and the Palestinians, they would have naturally got investment. They would have naturally built ports, docks. They would have had their own system of import-export. And just by the weight of financial movement, they would have prospered. And like I said earlier, that would have stopped 100% any and all Iranian influence in that region. That's one of the reasons I believe this 7th of October attack happened. Now, Donald Trump, you know, he's talking about clearing out this region. He's talking about giving the Israelis more munitions, more bombs. And remember, the ceasefire's holding, but it is on a thread in Gaza. But you've got places like the West Bank where there's no ceasefire. You've got no ceasefire in Lebanon. Guys, listen, I believe at any day now, this is all going to go south again. You know, double that up with the conflicts in Ukraine. I've not seen anything slow down. I've not seen any slowdown in military. You know, I've just shared you guys the war map. I've just shared with that, and it doesn't. And the Russians have certainly not slowed down. There's no negotiations of peace talk in Ukraine. Remember, the United Kingdom is going to take the lead role in Ukraine, and this 100-year pact, whatever that means, whatever that was, I've looked into it. I can't for the life of me fathom out what it is. But that to me is kind of the rubber stamp saying, look, the United Kingdom is leading in Ukraine and the Americans are going to lead in the Middle East. Guys, this is coming. It's coming this year. Just make yourselves ready. Right, guys, I'm going to close this video down now, because the next video I'm going to do is I'm going to be outside and I'm going to be doing some cooking. I'm going to be outside. I'm going to make a little stove. I'm going to be cooking on wood. I think I'm either going to make a stew or something. And, you know, I just want to get outside and do something outside instead of sat in here. But anyway, guys, I'm going to Max a Grid. I'll get you guys another video later.